It's time for another WrestlePlanet news update as a former WWE star looks set to sign for AEW. Jon Moxley and Renee Paquette's private photos have been leaked. And we have the latest on Bray Wyatt, who is said to have deserved his WWE release. All that and more coming up in today's video, but first, AEW announcer Tony Schiavone would take part in a Q&A on his Ask Tony live show and answered a question about a potential All Elite Wrestling streaming service at some point in the future, similar to the WWE network. Tony would reveal that he expects AEW to have their own service by the end of 2022, although he did reveal that Warner Media want AEW to be part of HBO Max. For those unaware, HBO Max is a Netflix-style app and website owned by Warner Media, who also own the TNT and TBS networks, the current and future home of AEW Dynamite. Schiavone would reveal that he has been told by somebody within Warner that AEW will be a part of the service, although he was told by somebody within AEW that they'd have to come up with a lot of money. It seems that the initial plans are for AEW to have their own service until a big money offer comes in to license the content out. This would be similar to WWE's move away from the WWE network in the United States to Peacock, which is owned by NBC Universal, the parent company of the USA Network. And next, Impact Wrestling have revealed their latest signing, with independent star Speedball Mike Bailey officially signing a contract with the promotion. During Sunday's Destiny Wrestling show in Bailey's home country of Canada, Impact EVP Scott D'Amore would be in attendance and would offer Speedball a contract after his match with Impact's Josh Alexander. Bailey has been wrestling for 15 years, making his debut in 2006, and has worked for many big independent promotions such as Ring of Honor, CZW, Progress, and WXW. The Wrestling Observer noted in May that WWE was working on signing him up before they ran into visa issues, which appears to have been taken care of, with him now joining Impact instead. Mike Bailey has a very unique in-ring style based around his skills in Taekwondo, in which he is a 4th degree black belt and will likely compete in the X Division. Next up, Major League Wrestling are set to link up with All Japan Pro-Wrestling, with the first MLW World title defense set to take place in the Japanese promotion for the first time since 2003. New MLW World Middleweight Champion Yoshihiro Tajiri will defend his title later this month on the 28th of November, with his challenger set to be AJPW star Atsuki Ayagi. The match was teased earlier last week on Twitter by MLW CEO Court Bauer, and the match has now been officially announced. This will be Tajiri's first title defense of his middleweight championship, which he won last month in his debut match at MLW Fightland in a 4-way match. Now let's go on to some updates on the situation in Ring of Honor, who announced last week that they would be letting their entire roster leave the company before going on hiatus, with the wrestlers allowed to sign elsewhere with immediate effect. 3 names from the Ring of Honor roster have teased appearances in AEW, with Danhausen posting a gif that emulates the popular Cody Rhodes meme where the camera zooms in to his ear, but instead the camera hits Danhausen in the face. The Cody gif is often used to suggest that a talent is moving to AEW, with Dan's take on this being taken as a tease of him becoming All Elite. This move may have been delayed though after he picked up an ankle injury on an independent show last night, with a return date yet to be confirmed. He may not be the only one that is AEW bound, as there has been suggestions that popular tag team and Ring of Honor mainstays the Briscoes, Jay and Mark, could also be AEW bound. Following the news that Ring of Honor would be going on hiatus, Dax Harwood of FTR would simply tweet Briscoes, before Dem Boys would respond on Twitter by saying, "When and where, big guy, your people know how to get up with us at Tony Khan." Dax would then reply to this, suggesting that FTR are on another level to the Briscoes, and would say, "Rec football versus Division 1, backyard versus the big leagues, good hands versus top guys, you get it." Jay and Mark Briscoe would no doubt be a fantastic addition to the AEW tag division, with them being one of the most experienced and believable teams in the business. And quickly, just before we continue, make sure you drop a like on the video as it helps me out a lot, and make sure you subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss any upcoming wrestling content as we head, hopefully, towards 100,000 subscribers. But now, let's press play on the video. Next up, let's jump across to some WWE news, with the company having signed a multi-million-dollar deal with a popular trading card company. WWE and the Panini Group have announced a multi-year deal which will see Panini release WWE-themed trading cards and collectible stickers, with this being an exclusive deal. The partnership will begin in the first quarter of 2022, with multiple series being released through the year, with the first being the 2022 WWE Prism series, which coincides with the build to WrestleMania 38. The deal is said to be worth at least $10 million, which is 3 times the average value of their expiring deal with Topps. Last week on AEW Dynamite, a former WWE manager received a tryout as part of the AEW commentary team. This was first reported by PW Insider's Mike Johnson, who revealed that Jesus Rodriguez, formerly known as Ricardo Rodriguez, worked the show in Boston as part of the Spanish announce team. Rodriguez would use his real name of Jesus on the show and would join Alex Abrahantes and Alvaro Rojas on the desk. Sportskeeda would later add that this was part of a tryout for a more permanent role, with no word on if he has been officially signed as part of the roster. With that said, sources did tell Sportskeeda that the tryout went well. Rodriguez's first taste of national fame came when he debuted as the manager and personal ring announcer for Alberto Del Rio in WWE, leading his client to multiple championships before eventually being released in 2014. He is also a wrestler in his own right, having also worked as a trainer. And next up, private images belonging to the former WWE announcer Renee Paquette and her husband Jon Moxley have been leaked after a personal Instagram account was hacked. This weekend, Renee revealed that her private account on the social media platform was hacked, which led to pictures of the couple's baby being released for the first time. On their public accounts, the face of the child is always hidden, with the duo making a decision to keep her out of the limelight. Renee would address the situation on Twitter in brutal fashion and said, Cool. I had a private IG account for friends and families to see my daughter, and someone hacked into the account and now I can't get it back. Good job stealing pictures of a baby, you complete and utter loser. It goes without saying that this is bang out of order, especially when it involves revealing the images of a baby whose parents wanted to keep away from the public eye. Hopefully the police can take action on this, and should you see these pictures surface on social media, be sure to report them. On Twitter you can do this by clicking report tweet, then it's abusive or harmful, and then it includes private information, then hacked materials. And finally, we go to news regarding the recently released Bray Wyatt, who was let go by WWE at the end of July. Following the expiration of his non-compete clause, Wyatt would change his Twitter handle from @WWE Bray Wyatt to @Wyndham6, with this seemingly confirming that this will be the name he uses in wrestling going forward. Wyndham is of course his real name, with his full name being Wyndham Rotunda. The 6 in the name has left many speculating that this will be his number if he were to join AEW's Dark Order, taking the reins from the late Brody Lee, who Wyndham led as part of the Wyatt family in WWE. It's also likely that this could simply be a reference to the number of the devil, 666, with the name Wyndham having already been taken on the platform, or who knows, it could be both. Either way, let's go to a report from Ringside News, who, as mentioned in the past, we don't often source, although this story has seemingly been confirmed by Wyndham himself. According to the report, the former Bray Wyatt had a lot of heat in the company, with Ringside reporting, "Not being an apologist or a WWE defender, just telling you like it is. If you were running a business and Wyndham was on your payroll, you'd release him too. Between his backstage antics and the way he handled himself when making millions and millions while medically flagged, he really deserved to be released." Wyndham himself would then seem to confirm that this is the feeling within WWE, responding on Twitter by saying, "Now that we have Johnny and Bruce's opinion, I would like to share mine soon." The Johnny and Bruce that Wyndham is referring to is most definitely WWE Executive Director of Creative Bruce Pritchard, as well as General Manager of Talent John Laurinaitis, who are 2 of Vince McMahon's right-hand men. The upcoming Bray Wyatt shoot interviews are going to be very interesting indeed, with many fans feeling that his creativity wasn't used to the fullest, with his ideas being diluted and ultimately buried, whether that being the original Eater of Worlds character or the duality of the Firefly Funhouse Bray and the Fiend. Either way, it's going to be interesting to hear his side of the story. And quickly, just as a final note for Wyatt, being seen in Los Angeles taking various inquiries regarding different Hollywood projects after a photo of him was shared on social media last Thursday by Jason Baker, who was one of the men involved in the making of the Fiend mask in WWE. The duo were photographed at Gate 4 on the Warner Brothers Studios, which suggests that we could be seeing Bray Wyatt on the big screen in the coming years. And before you go, make sure you check out my video where I rank every single AEW champion from worst to best, including the TNT, Women's, Tag Team, and World Championship.